welcome to my channel. This is actually one of my first book reviews in a long time, and this is Hope and Glory by Jendella Benson. Is actually my first read for 2023. I started reading this on the 2nd of January and I finished it in 2 sittings. It was that good. I'm a slow reader and I was like so shocked myself. So Jendella Benson is a black British author of Nigerian heritage, and I was really excited to read this book to learn more about like the black British experience in London, and yeah, just learning more about it from like the characters' lenses. So the color of the book is really gorgeous. Love the pink, love like, you know, the whole aesthetics of it. It looks like a portrait taken somewhere in London. And then we have the synopsis here in the inner jacket cover, and just the first 4 lines. I lost my dad, I lost my job, I lost myself, but I found hope. And that just tells you that the character is going through it in this novel. Let me read the synopsis. Glory arrives back in Peckham from her seemingly glamorous life in LA to mourn the sudden death of her father, and finds her previously close family has fallen apart in her absence. Her brother Victor has been jailed. Her sister Faith appears to have lost her independence and ambition. And their mother Celeste is headed towards a breakdown. Glory is thrown by their disarray, and rather than return to America, she decides to stay and try to bring them all together again. However, when she unearths a huge family secret, Glory risks losing everyone she truly cares about in her pursuit of the truth. Woo! Wow, wow, wow. A lot is going on. Family drama galore. Not in a bad way. I really loved how the author explored different themes in this novel, and how it all comes together in the end, just showing family bond and how they say blood is thicker than water. And so it says Hope and Glory is a rich, heartwarming story of loss, love, and family chaos, and marks an exciting new voice in fiction. And I couldn't agree more. It's exactly what it says on the tin. And so I'm just going to start by talking about the characters a bit. So Glory, who is the protagonist of this novel, I think she's like a 20-something-year-old woman who had moved to America, you know, in pursuit of that whole American dream or a new lifestyle, what may you call it. And things don't really go as planned. Some things happen, but then unfortunately her father dies, so she eventually comes back to London for the funeral, and the novel starts to unravel from there, and you start to like hear from her voice, her feelings, her thoughts, and I guess in some ways her shame as well. This is very much a character where the author uses it to like explore themes of identity, culture, family, belonging. Her sister Faith is a housewife. She was quite, I guess, maybe entrepreneurial or career driven, but she's now in a phase in her life where she's content as a mother, she's content as a housewife. There's some things happening with her husband, which like Glory is not really happier about, and Glory sort of has different perception to what Faith has. And I really like this because I think we're now in a world where there's like lots of women empowerment and women have more choice than we've ever had before. It's not done, but we're better than like our mothers, should I say. But in this story, Faith is very much content with this phase of her life. She's happy to be like the housemaker and all of that, and her sister just doesn't get it. And I think sometimes we get into this pickle where we think everyone should be like us, we should be go-getters, career-driven, la-di-da-di-da. For me personally, feminism boils down to choice. I want to be like, if I want to be a housewife, I want to be a housewife. If I want to be a career woman, I want to be a career woman. If I want to be both, my partner better understands that and like make sure we have a family and a network and a lifestyle that enables me to be all I can be. I think it's all about choice. we shouldn't be like putting our own expectations and our own values on top of other people. As long as they're not being coerced to do it, as long as it's not on something, a choice out of aggression or no choice at all, let people have their choices. And so now Celeste, the mother, is going through some like mental health issues, and I really enjoyed the author exploring these themes, especially like in the Nigerian culture. Mental health is not something we really talk about. Things are definitely changing now. But when you think about the much older generation, it's not really understood, it's brushed under the carpet, it's like hush, hush, hush there. But with this, with the mother, we're able to like see a bit more about that. And just like learn from it and understand it as well. And I really loved how our children, especially Faith, who had been in London all this while, was really having her back and supporting her, and understands that her mother is vulnerable, needs to be like handled with care. And then the brother, Victor, who is in prison, for me, that was really interesting. So I would say in the last couple of years, I've been reading lots of like African literature. So this is one of the reasons I was really interested in reading Black British literature. There are some differences. If you know, you know. Just the fact that we're Black doesn't mean we all have the same experiences. We have different experiences. So from Black people, or let's say Nigerian people who have been born and raised in the UK, to Nigerians who have been born and raised in Nigeria and moved to the UK, our experiences are totally different. And for me, it was really interesting learning about like the prison system here a bit through this character Victor, what led him to like end up in jail. Really, really unfortunate, and just learning about some legal things and the proceedings, and how although he hadn't done anything wrong, but because he was like in the company of someone who had, he ended up in jail. That's why it's like be careful of the company you keep. So yeah, that was really interesting and quite enlightening to learn about that in this novel. And now I must say the biggest thing I really enjoyed learning about from this book is about what happened in the past in terms of like migrants moving to the UK, having to work multiple jobs. Some of them couldn't just, there was just no time to take care of their kids, because when they would go out to work multiple jobs, they had underage children at home and you can't leave them at home. So there was actually a period of time in British history where Black immigrant mothers, or maybe not even immigrants, I'm not sure in terms of like Caribbean culture, but they would leave their children with like white women, and not just white men, like white carers, I guess. And I think there was some sort of scheme as well where the government would like give these white carers like an allowance or money or something to like obviously take care of the children in their care. So there was that sort of system going on. And the first time I heard about this was 2019. I had gone to like a book convention or something like that, and the author there was talking about his own personal experience in terms of being left with a white mother for years, and then later he was just like uprooted from there, moved back to London with his mother, and there was just like a lot going on because obviously there's been this number of years where they had been disconnected, and he had formed a bond with this other woman, and like the other children in her care obviously had friends in this like countryside place he was living. So it was quite similar themes in this novel, and it was really interesting, and like learning as Glory went through that process. I don't want to say too much in order not to give spoilers, because I know lots of people don't like spoilers. I personally don't mind spoilers. I feel like no matter how you explain a novel, it would not, there's still a lot to be enjoyed by reading the author's writing. But I know lots of people don't like spoilers, so I'm trying not to say. But anyway, Glory exploring that and going through her own journey, I really enjoyed learning that from this book, and I think I would love to see more books written about this part of British history that we don't know much about. Also, the relationship between Glory and the man she was seeing in this novel was quite interesting. Now, I'm not sure if the author did this on purpose in terms of like some things around this man's character, some of the experience he was having, some of the hints, and in a way, I had to sit back and think: is this sort of like challenging my perceptions and my views as well in terms of things we see as stereotypical of a black man who is like working in grassroots black communities to put an end to like gang culture, knife crime, and stuff like that. There was just something a bit fishy and dubious about this man, but every time he would have a reason for it, he would have an explanation. But to be honest, for me, I'm just like, this doesn't really explain it. There's something dodgy with this guy. So even how the book ended with like their relationship on the balance, I was like, is there a part two? Is something gonna come out about this guy? It just seemed a bit fishy. Although like in the book he'd made it out not to be. So I don't know. That really challenged like my perceptions as well. And so that was really interesting. All in all, I would say this is a really interesting novel. If you're looking for like a book by a black British author to read, I definitely recommend reading this. You learn a lot from it. You enjoyed her writing style is also really, really like amazing. I was just transported to the world of glory and like growing up a bit in London myself, the experiences of having like a waitress. I did waitressing back in the day before I started uni, and so I could just relate to some of these stories. Not everything, because the characters are like situated in southeast London, and South London. I'm not sure if it's South London. I'm not quite familiar with those parts, but it was also still interesting, like hearing about these places I've been to and stuff like that. And that's what I enjoy a lot about reading. It's like the imagination, but I love when it's a bit grounded in like reality as well. And so yeah, as a slow reader, I read this in two sitting and I was done. I was like, wow, I must have really enjoyed this book if I read that fast. So that should definitely tell you something about the book. So I would say I'm giving this book 4 stars out of 5, only because I felt there were some parts about Glory, like figuring out things about her sister, that was just overdrawn, drawn out a bit. Some of the reasons why her mother wouldn't like reveal the truth, why her sister was hiding the truth so much, it just didn't make sense. I'm like, come on already. This is about her life. This is about her sister. I don't want to say too much about it. So why all this secrecy? She knows something is up already. Why are you not telling her? And so even like the vulnerability of the mother, I understood that, but I felt that was a bit overplayed. And so yeah, that's what I would say 4/5. Otherwise, it's an amazing, splendid book. So if you enjoyed watching this review, I recommend you watch my other reviews here and subscribe to my channel so you can see more reviews from me. Until next time, bye.